If you got a broken spatula, don't throw it out. Santa Barbara recycles all metals now. If you got a broken toy and you don't know what to do, Santa Barbara can recycle all plastics too. All metals and plastics are recyclable. You can even recycle your bicycle, 'cause all metals and plastics are recyclable. So reduce, reuse, recycle. Reduce, reuse, recycle. Reduce, reuse, recycle. Reduce, reuse, recycle.
Shouldn't that go into recycling?
Recycling. Recycling. Everybody knows the trash gets sorted. We don't need no stinking recycling.
Fact is, no trash gets sorted, friend. So if it goes in there, it just ends up at a landfill.
There's only one way to settle this. Draw. Santa Barbara recycles.
Oh my gosh, I'm so bloated. I mean, look at my stem.
You do look a little puffy.
I totally can't believe how much water I'm retaining.
Me too. This guy needs to cut back on watering.
He must be trying to drown us or something.
Shh. Look, across the street. There she is, the California sunflower.
How can a flower look like that good this time of year?
I don't think I've seen her get even one drop of water.
Well, it did rain 3 months ago.
Don't overwater your plants. Learn more at svwater.org.
Oh, come on, again?
You're killing me.
I remember the night that I would have graduated, a sinking feeling came over me that my life was going to be difficult. Your life becomes almost like a minefield, not being able to read or write in a literate world. Each day you walk out of your door, there's a challenge out there waiting for you. There's that possibility of being discovered as a non-reader. I knew that I had to change. And I remember calling down to the library and making an appointment. They did an assessment to find out where my reading and writing and spelling and grammar and all that was. And at the end, they said it's somewhere between the 3rd and 4th grade level. My first tutor was Lindy. She was the first one that ever said to me, I believe you can do it. And today, I'm sitting here with a bachelor's degree. It took you in my life. For that, I will always be indebted and grateful to you.
To get help with your reading or to volunteer, visit your local library or go to libraryliteracy.org or call 888-767-7323.
Wind, weather, and topography, 3 key factors that will determine the fate of the Jesucita fire, the 3rd major wildfire in Santa Barbara in 9 months. Residents on San Roque Road were among the first to leave.
I was up at the barn feeding my horse lunch, probably around 1 or 1:30 when I heard the sirens. And I can't see anything from where we live, so I got in the car and drove up here to the top of the hill so I could see what was going on. And I saw the fire, and then I went back and called my husband and loaded up the animals, and we've been parked here on the hill ever since.
Come day 2 of the fire, active flames in the hills above the San Roque and Mission Canyon neighborhoods. Fire crews from outside the city descended onto Santa Barbara to help fight this wind-driven, fast-moving fire. Helicopters used night vision technology to continue to fight the fire even after the sun sets. Right now we are on Mission Canyon Terrace near the Botanical Gardens, and from this vantage point you can see active flames in the hills above Mission Canyon Terrace. You can also see the helicopters just hovering above the area. On the ground here, firefighters stationed ready for if this fire reaches these homes. Meanwhile, evacuees flocked to the American Red Cross shelter at Dos Pueblos High School in Goleta, seeking haven from the smoke and ash-filled sky. One evacuee fled her home on Alomar Road.
And then we had a warning because the city called us. We had 2 phone calls in the evening as a warning evacuation. And then today, when I came back from Trader Joe's, it was just amazing to see how controlled it was. It was clear, you know. And also the helicopters were dropping the waters, and the fixed wings were still spreading the fire retardant. It was just amazing. Those people have so much admiration for the firemen and all the people involved just to keep us safe.
We were just at the top of San Roque Road watching some of the flames close up, and now we've actually moved down to Calle Laurales. We're just outside Peabody Charter School, one of the schools affected by this fire. And as you can see, the wind is kicking up, helicopters hovering overhead, curious onlookers watching the fire closely to see where the fire heads. And the fire did head towards homes. By day 3, homes were reduced to ashes, although some untouched, like that of San Roque Road resident Glenn Miller.
Daytime, it's dramatic, and that firestorm will never be forgotten. But at night, it's a whole different beast.
But the Culver City and Santa Monica mixed strike team were more than prepared to save Glenn's home, keeping their eyes on 3 things.
Fires are all driven and have a mind of their own, are based on weather, wind, and topography. So when all 3 of those moons align in the most probable direction for a great fire, that's what you're going to have. And yesterday afternoon was a perfect example.
An aggressive attack by sky cranes and firehawks, one after another dipping into the Laurel Reservoir and then dousing the flames. Firefighters on the ground concerned about hot spots, focused on mop-up efforts in devastated neighborhoods. Meanwhile, at Earl Warren Showgrounds, Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger declared a state of emergency.
I want to say right off the top, thank you very much to the unbelievable firefighters that we have here in California and in this area. They are the bravest, they're the toughest firefighters, they're the best equipped firefighters, they're the most selfless firefighters. It's really extraordinary. They're moving there, risking their lives, working 24 hours a day. So firefighters, thank you from the bottom of our hearts for the great work that you're doing. Now, the Hesacita fire has been a great challenge. There's no two ways about it. And I just heard this again from the briefing just now, that because of the winds, 50-mile-an-hour winds, the lack of access to the mountainous terrain and the dense brush, and all of this creates great challenges. But this is why I wanted to come up here to show my support. That's why yesterday I declared a state of emergency for Santa Barbara area. Which means that through the Fire Management Assistance Grant, we can draw down 75% of the response costs from the federal government. So this is very, very helpful for us. And because, as you know, we have a financial crisis in California. But I wanted to make sure that you all know that even though we have this crisis, we will not be short of money when it comes to fighting those fires. We will be there for you 100%. Feel sorry. Bad for the people of Santa Barbara that year after year you get hit by these fires, but it's very important to us that we show our support, and I want to compliment you here in Santa Barbara, law enforcement and the fire officials and everyone, because there's no place in a state where people come together faster and jump into action faster than right here in this area.
In the Emergency Operations Center, city staff work 24/7. It is the nerve center for information from evacuations to road and school closures, updating information minute by minute for the public and the media. Meanwhile, residents wait for news. Are their homes gone or still standing? We toured homes lost in San Roque and Mission Canyon neighborhoods. It is day 3 of the Jesucita fire, and just to give you a good idea of the destruction and devastation that happened here overnight, we're just off of Tunnel Road, and take a look at this huge tree right here, totally burned down, and it was actually uprooted from the hillside here. Definitely one of the hotter days of the fire. Actually, one of the firefighters just came by and told us to get out of here very soon because they're concerned that the winds will kick up again. That night, strong winds did kick up, extending the fire to the east towards Gibraltar Road and Montecito, and to the west, jumping Highway 154. Evidence is leading fire investigators to believe that sparks from power tools used to clear brush caused this fire. As of May 11th, the fire burned 8,733 acres, destroyed 77 homes and 60 outbuildings, and damaged 22 homes and 69 outbuildings.
Young lives need air,
Well, what's in you is really what's around you.
sun, water, and all the riches of the earth to bloom and thrive. Growing bodies and minds grow better when they connect with nature every day. Open your door. Visit Nature Explore at arborday.org for the young lives in your life.
It has to do with the whole being outside thing.
When we wash our cars on the street, oil and soapy water runs into the gutter, down the storm drain, and straight into the creeks and ocean. Metals, solvents, and degreasers get washed to the ocean too. Instead, take your car to a car wash where the dirty water is collected, or at home, wash on grass or gravel to absorb the water. Remember, when you wash your car on the street, you're not just washing your car on the street.
Every morning at 8 a.m., Dave's lawn sprinklers turn on. Dave likes knowing that no matter what, his lawn is getting watered. So's the left side of his driveway. Jake Walter's bike. The curb running downhill on Garden Street. On Tuesdays and Thursdays, Dave also waters the Browns' dachshund. There's a Dave in every neighborhood. Log on to sbwater.org to learn the best settings for your sprinklers.
With City TV, and welcome to Inside Santa Barbara, the city's only news magazine show. We bring you up to date on the city's most significant issues, projects, and events. Well, can you name the most congested areas of Santa Barbara County? Number one is right here in our own backyard. In our top story, we'll take you there and show you what the community is doing about it. When it comes to driving, sometimes getting from point A to point B isn't easy. Such is the case with the Las Positas and Mission Street interchanges. This stretch of Highway 101 is the most congested in Santa Barbara County. The Mission southbound off-ramp occasionally experiences backups onto the highway. Distances between on and off-ramps are short and add to the congestion. Cottage Hospital, the only major trauma center in the county, is accessed from these interchanges. To find out how difficult it really is to get to the hospital, City Transportation Planner Rob Dayton drove me through the routes. We started by driving northbound 101.
We're getting off the Mission interchange, and we're going northbound, and we're going to turn right to get to the hospital. One of the issues with getting to the hospital from here is from Mission you have two lanes, and there's no left turn lane for Castillo or for Bath. So right now we happen to have it open to turn on Castillo, but usually that's a queue of cars waiting to turn left. You see it more readily right here. Well, we're going to turn left, and here's a queue of cars. This left turn lane blocks all the cars who are going through on Mission, makes the level of service at Bath very poor.
Coming from the north is just as challenging.
The issue with southbound is the Calle Real has been changed to one way, and so now if we can't get off at the Las Positas interchange anymore if we want to go to the hospital, unless we're going to cut through the neighborhood, which is really not acceptable to the San Marcan neighborhood. We're getting off at Mission. You have to do a series of maneuvers which actually Caltrans has designed the signals to do. And so the ambulances have to do this, the emergency apparatus, everyone gets to the hospital the same way, and it really shows what a convoluted way the access is to the hospital. We have to get off the freeway going southbound, and then we get back and we go under the interchange. So you can see this particular motorist who was frustrated he didn't get the green light, almost jumped out of traffic right there. But this is the case in point, is that why would to access the major trauma center, Cottage Hospital, would you have to get off the freeway going south, go under it, and then get back on the freeway going north? Here's what we do. We get back on the freeway going north, and then we're going to exit at Pueblo Street in order to access the hospital. Back in the 80s, Caltrans wanted to improve at Las Positas northbound off-ramp intersection. Many of the people who've lived in Santa Barbara a long time will remember that there was a stop sign at the end of the off-ramp, and there was a hook ramp that came into here at Calle Real. Caltrans wanted to eliminate that, and so they made Calle Real one way. But unfortunately what that did is it limited access for people coming from the north to the hospital. And now there's a lot of cut-throughs in the neighborhood, mainly on Talent Road.
What happens when you have traffic coming through is it pushes you back in your house. You spend less time out gardening. If you have a conversation with a neighbor across the street, it's a shouting match because of the traffic. It's just not a healthy thing. And the shame of that is that this is just a fabulous neighborhood.
And activity in the area has increased even more since Cottage Hospital began its seismic compliance and modernization project. As part of this project, other locations were evaluated as potential sites for relocating the hospital. But in the end, it was decided that the hospital would stay in the spot it has been in since it first opened in 1888.
Given the situation here in the existing transportation network, this is probably not the ideal spot to build a new hospital. However, the hospital is here, and the facilities are here to support the hospital, so we're going to make do with what we have.
When Cottage came before the city with the modernization project, we did an environmental impact report and found that the access to the hospital is lacking. The levels of service, the congestion levels are too high and unacceptable for city standards and the quality of life of Santa Barbara's.
The hospital gave $250,000 to the city to investigate ways to improve access to neighborhoods and the hospital.
Some of the feedback that we received our previous...
So the city used that money to hire transportation consultant IBI Group. IBI has helped with the process of Phase 1, which is developing the circulation options report, but they didn't do it alone.
So we really wanted to go to the public, have a couple of public workshops, also talk to the various stakeholders of Caltrans and SBCAG, also MTD, and also we went to the Planning Commission and Transportation Circulation Committee as well for feedback.
There were also public workshops. All stakeholders were encouraged to participate, including the Santa Barbara County Association of Governments.
The city made us aware that as part of their project in working with the hospital that they got some funding to do a traffic study, and so we became involved in that with city staff.
So what are the options? The community explored a broad range from the small to the large. Eventually, options for improving access were broken down into 3 different packages. The first option would include a new freeway overcrossing at Pueblo Street, in addition to local street improvements, extending two-way traffic on De La Vina, and extending the one-way couplet on Castillo and Bath Street to Pueblo. Another option is the Las Positas interchange reconfiguration, with the same local street improvements. Another alternative is combining alternatives 1 and 2. In the end, there was a general consensus that reconfiguring the Las Positas interchange would be the best option.
The alternative that the community really liked was a new hook off-ramp at the Earl Warren Showgrounds that would accompany the existing northbound hook off-ramp. In that way, we'll be able to remove the off-ramp that goes to Las Positas now in the northbound direction and turn Calle Real back to two-way traffic, which is the key piece that the community really liked and also improves access to Cottage Hospital from the north.
Everyone felt had the least amount of overall impacts. It was also the one that seemed to be the least expensive.
Improving pedestrian and bicycle access was also taken into consideration. There was a general consensus around adding street improvements, like extending two-way traffic on De La Vina and extending the one-way couplet on Castillo Street and Bath Street to Pueblo. After all feedback on these options are received, including comments from the PC and TCC, IBI Group will further refine the draft to make a more complete report. It will then go to City Council for review this summer. The findings from the Circulation Options Report will feed into the Project Study Report, which is needed for the second phase of the study in order to pursue project funding.
There's not going to be money available in the immediate future for building these facilities, but we need to be prepared for when Caltrans goes through their next round of funding to have the studies in our hand to support the option that we prefer.
Although making access improvements takes years of planning, the city says it will all be worth it in the long run.
Santa Barbara expects a very high quality of life here. We have a big challenge, but at the end of the day, what we want to come out with is a city that's levels of service at those intersections emulate what the community expects, so that motorists can have a better experience in Santa Barbara.
When all is said and done, Oak Park and San Marcan residents are hoping to see significant relief from traffic and a healthier, more livable neighborhood.
Well, I hope to reacquaint myself with my neighbors. You know, I feel like I haven't done a good job on that lately, but again, it's because of the traffic. And I understand it's not something that's going to happen overnight, but, you know, I love this neighborhood. That's why I've been here for so long. I'd like to see a solution to that thing that restores some of the tranquility and the community back to my local area of Santa Barbara.
And you're invited to participate in the joint PC-TCC meeting on June 11th in the David Gebhard Public Meeting Room, where the options report will be presented. With the committee's approval, it will then be forwarded to City Council. Well, up next, we take you to another project in the city that also focuses on easier access. City TV's photojournalist Jeff Goodwin shows us how this street is now much safer for all users of the roadway.
Good things come to those who wait, and in this case, the improvements and renovations made to the bike lanes and walkways under the 101 freeway at Mission Street between Carrillo and Modoc have been well worth the wait.
This is an area that has been identified by the accessibility community and the bicycle advocacy community as an area that people have avoided in the past because of the lack of bike lanes, because of the lack of access ramps.
The project was created in 1999 as part of the 101 Congestion Management Program through a Transportation Enhancement Grant via Santa Barbara County Association of Government and Caltrans. 10 years ago, state law was changed to give more authority to regional agencies like SB CAG for transportation funding.
I think you see a lot more projects that are community-oriented, that are sensitive to the neighborhoods, that are important to the community and the people of Santa Barbara, rather than something that Sacramento thinks is appropriate for our community, and that's a big improvement.
Improvements in the Cabrillo Mission Modoc area were identified by the city's deficiency plan, created to find ways to alleviate traffic congestion and concerns for public safety.
Because there were so few ways to get from the west side to the east side and from the east side to the west side, it's one of the areas that people have been traveling under without feeling comfortable because of the lack of sidewalk and bike lanes. We think more people will come to Mission to cross because it may be more convenient for their travels than are doing so now.
Pedestrian areas have enhanced ramps. These ramps, new sidewalks, wider sidewalks, street lights, traffic signal modifications, curbs and gutters, retaining walls, native plant landscaping improves visibility and area aesthetics.
Public Works is involved in many projects that create easier access and safer biking and walking lanes throughout Santa Barbara.
We've got quite a few sidewalk projects underway that have similar amenities, the improvement of the access ramps and a sidewalk separated from the traffic, and they should be underway over the next 6 months or so. The one I'm thinking of in particular is the Carrillo Hill sidewalk project.
For more information on the Mission Street bike lanes, go to our website, that's citytv18.com. Well, the Drug and Alcohol Abuse Prevention Teen Coalition says that 91% of teens in Santa Barbara admit that home is the #1 place to obtain and consume alcohol. Well, thanks to an ordinance passed by City Council in August of 2008, providing alcohol to teens comes with some stiff penalties. It's called the Social Host Ordinance, and it holds people responsible for allowing underage drinking in their home. It's all the ingredients for a party. Music, friends, and sometimes booze. If you're 21 or older, that's okay since it's legal. But for those who are under 21, it's a whole different story. Yet in spite of being illegal, according to a national survey, nearly a third of all 8th graders today have tried alcohol, and a quarter of 12th graders report being drunk in the last 30 days. And how they get to the alcohol has been the center of controversy. It has become accepted by some parents that throwing parties for their underage children and their friends is okay.
I think some adults, they just don't know how to say no. Or like they're just afraid that their kid's gonna go out and like get hurt somewhere else.
But some adults disagree with this kind of reasoning.
And what a lot of adults say is, well, kids are going to do it anyway. Well, they certainly are if that's our attitude. You know, we need to change our conversation. We need to change our expectations.
That change has already started in the city of Santa Barbara with the Social Host Ordinance. Passed by City Council in August 2008, it is a law that holds people responsible for allowing underage drinking on their property. A host in violation is defined as any person who allows or hosts a party where alcoholic beverages are in the possession of or are being consumed by any minor.
When the police arrive, if they can establish that there's minors inside the apartment or the residential house or the private property, then reports generated, and then that's sent to the city, and then they receive a bill. Even if they're gone, they should have known, they should have taken some sort of reasonable cause to have known they're going to get hit with that fine.
Violators can opt out of paying the fine and instead attend alcohol education counseling.
I have had some friends back in the past that have gotten into accidents. I've heard stories about my mom back then saying that she drank one time and when she was young, and she was with a person drinking in the car and they got in an accident. And so from what I learned about it is that there's a certain point of where you got to feel that, you know what, there's certain things that's not right. And when you're drinking, you're not going to be okay. Alcohol leads to endangerment and leads to violence.
Violence. Only one of the many consequences of early alcohol use.
There's a whole range from the more minor to the completely heartbreaking and tragic. When youth drink before the age of 15, they're 4 times more likely to have a problem with addiction or dependence in their lifetime. It can ruin your life. It can really take a toll, not just on you, but on everyone who cares about you. Kids do all kinds of things they wouldn't otherwise do when they've been drinking. Unintended sex, driving in a car. And we know that the brain is developing until age 25. So what alcohol does is it shuts down portions of the brain at the very time when the brain is developing.
Ask anyone who has seen what happens to the brain when drinking starts at an early age. Like 16-year-old Janine Terrell, who is currently going through counseling for alcohol and drug abuse.
We saw like brain scans of like people who've been drinking for a long time, like since they were young, and like how it messed up your frontal lobe, which is like the part of your brain that stops you when you're trying to make a decision, to make you think of like, you know, realistic consequences of everything, and like how like that part becomes impaired and you like become worse at like you become more reckless pretty much, and your liver obviously and your heart, everything gets a lot worse. It made me kind of sad because I thought of like my family members who are all like been drinking for years now, and like that's probably what their insides look like. And then it made me think like, do I want that to happen to me?
Janine shared with me the toll alcohol and drug use have had on her.
I used to be like a perfect student, like always like perfect grades and always perfect attendance and always like a teacher's pet, like that kind of person. And then like when I started using drugs and alcohol, like, I sort of changed, you know, like, I stopped coming to school and, like, caring about my grades, and then they referred me to, like, Reconnecting Youth and Sarah.
Sarah Grosso, her counselor. Janine's school saw the warning signs and referred her to Sarah, who is helping her on the road to recovery. Janine does not support adults providing alcohol to teens, but she says the social host ordinance may be only one tool that puts a dent in teen drinking.
I don't know what the right answer is, like, for, like, the whole thing. Like, I don't know, like, if people should or shouldn't do that, like, because either way, like, kids are going to find a way to get alcohol.
We've done research and looked into the different cities that have it. Oxnard Police Department, Ventura Police Department. I know Santa Barbara Sheriff's Department has it in certain cities, and they've all seen very drastic results. I think sometimes it takes a while to really get everybody educated, but when you realize that, you know, hey, if you're not having proper control over your residential dwelling and allowing juveniles to consume or minors to consume alcohol, you're going to be held accountable. I think that'll make a difference and keep our juveniles and minors safer.
Advocates of the social host ordinance say that this will result in a healthier and safer community. Janine is trying to get healthier herself. She admits that struggling against alcohol and drugs isn't easy, but she's on the right path.
I'm really glad that I'm improving. Like, I mean, it's, like, really hard to, like, deal with things, but, you know, like, I'm hoping that as, like, I get, like, you know, less dependent on substances and stuff, like, it'll get easier for me to not even think about it like that and just, you know, find the other ways to have fun.
There are groups of both adults and teens who are pushing this law to be enacted countywide. Well, as part of our continuing series of highlighting city advisory groups, this month we take a look at a group that plays an important link between the police and fire departments and Santa Barbara residents. Our Nina Sang has the story.
The first item we have up is the approval of the minutes.
The Fire and Police Commission is one of the city's oldest commissions. In 1874, the city's first fire company was organized. The police force, however, was not formed until about 1900 due to low crime rates in Santa Barbara at that time. In 1927, the Fire and Police Commission was established and has been assisting the Fire and Police Department in overseeing budget and public safety issues ever since.
On a routine basis, what they do is they deal with permits on a bunch of different levels, the dance permits, taxi permits, towing permits.
The committee considers the business's needs and how the dance permits will affect its neighbors. In addition to dealing with permits, the committee also advises City Council on budget issues for the two departments. It also participates in the selection of the fire and police chiefs.
And I think citizens like to know that they're well represented by strong police and fire chiefs, and this particular commission gets a chance to weigh in on those selections.
The committee is comprised of 5 members who come from diverse backgrounds. Since no experience is required, the Fire and Police Commission offers a unique perspective to City Council.
It's really beneficial because it allows us as a police department and a fire department to have a group of citizens, residents, maybe even business people who might be experts in certain areas that I'm not, or that the fire chief isn't. So their expertise, their personal expertise helps us. And these 5 individuals have given of their own time to give us advice and also really sit as a kind of a conduit to the whole system of public safety as a civilian, not an employee of the city, but as a concerned citizen.
The people have a civilian committee they can go back on and discuss or complain to. We try to basically do what the people, or listen to what the people have to say and see what's fair.
Before determining what's fair, the commissioners spend a lot of time researching and reading about each issue before each monthly public meeting.
They put in a lot more hours than they're asked because they want to be prepared when they sit in there to make a decision.
We do a lot of reading, but we have to keep ourselves briefed on what's going on.
The Fire and Police Commission offers an inside, in-depth view of the city's operations and an opportunity to have a voice in its management.
Anybody who's interested in being part of the community and willing to attend monthly meetings and have a real keen interest in public safety, this is a great opportunity, I think.
Come on up and be comfortable.
For more information, go to the city's website, that's santabarbaraca.gov, and click on the quick link called Boards and Commissions. Well, Santa Barbara is a community known to be active in the arts, but during these tough economic times, funding for the arts seems to suffer. Up next, Channel 18's Dominique Blocker takes us to a recent arts symposium that focused on helping sustain arts in the community.
The arts surround us every day. Whether we are conscious of it or not, we are exposed to art in the form of music, architecture, public art, galleries, and more as we go about our lives. But what would happen if that art started to fade away? Would the place we live still be the same? Would our lives still be as rich?
These are the times that try men's souls.
The attendees of the 2009 Annual Art Symposium, held last month at the Cabrillo Arts Pavilion, gathered to discuss ways to continue to bring arts to our community in an evolving atmosphere.
Falls to the floor.
What we had hoped to accomplish was to get everybody sitting down at the table to begin to address how can we adapt to a changing landscape for the arts on all kinds of levels. We were delighted with the community's willingness to roll up their sleeves and the ideas that they brought to the table in the breakout sessions that we had.
The city recognizes that supporting the arts creates a healthier and more vibrant community.
Redevelopment agency staff has been working with the County Arts Commission and was part of the panel that has discussed a sustainable source of funding for community arts, and it's a tough one. The economy isn't great, as we all know. The redevelopment agency sunsets in the year 2015, which is only 6 years away. So we've been working with the County Arts Commission trying to find ways to continue arts funding. I think it's a good starting point to bring all these different groups together, and the Arts Symposium that's exactly what it's doing. It's bringing all these different arts organizations together to try and help each other out and continue arts in the community, because it is such a pull for tourists as well as locals. It's an important ingredient for our downtown.
And in order to keep our downtown and all of Santa Barbara the place we love, addressing these issues now is more important than ever. From an aging arts audience to changing technology, and now with less funding from foundations and government sources, finding ways to carry on Santa Barbara's artistic tradition will take the effort of many.
Santa Barbara has a very rich cultural tradition, one that we're very proud of, one that we're very used to. And I think the idea is, how do we preserve that? Where do we have those future artists patrons? And we have a legacy to pass on.
By coming together, people from the arts community, arts advocates, government, and educators are working towards a common goal: maintaining the arts in our community for those who live here now, but more importantly, for generations to come.
This is really what we're trying to do. We're taking this generation that has certain experience in the arts and passing it on firsthand to a younger generation.
Recent collaboration between the Redevelopment Agency and the Arts Commission has led to a new art program that will display art in vacant storefronts on State Street in the coming months. Well, to show the community's growing support towards sustainability, Santa Barbara held its 19th annual Earth Day Festival. City TV's Becky Oxborough brings us the story from Alameda Park.
Since the creation of Earth Day in 1970, Santa Barbara has been discovering ways to celebrate the Earth. However, it wasn't until 1990 that the Community Environmental Council decided to organize Santa Barbara's first annual Earth Day Festival, where up to 30,000 people attended.
I just love the vibe that's here. It's such a great vibe. People are happy, they're enjoying themselves, they're finding their little niche, they're listening to music or enjoying the beer garden, or they're hanging out in the children's area, or they're coming here and seeing technology like the Green Car Show. And it's really not one type of person. I think that's the thing that I really like about Earth Day. It's grown to become the type of thing that anybody can come to.
19 years later, that number has nearly doubled. For the first time ever, the 2009 Earth Day Festival was held in Alameda Park, allowing it room to expand and welcome thousands more to the festivities.
I think this festival has really grown in reputation. I actually am not aware of any other festival that has this many exhibitors. And I think this is the festival people want to be involved with, so we don't have to go too far. People seem to be coming to us.
I think what always impresses me is the variety of things that are here, and there's always something that I think, oh, I never would have thought of that, or I didn't know that existed, or oh wow, look who's doing that. You know, it's always something new, I guess, that I experience.
Among the 250 booths on display at the festival, there were a variety of demonstrations available for people to observe or participate in. These exhibits helped people see what it means to be environmentally friendly and how important it is to be energy efficient.
What we have today, if you can look behind me, is we're showing people how the difference in energy that it takes to use an incandescent bulb and a compact fluorescent bulb. It's really interesting. People get on the bike, and it's really hard to power 3 incandescent or regular bulbs. When we turn the switch and they're using the compact fluorescent lights, or the squirrely lights as we call them, people all of a sudden it's totally bright, and it's kind of like people's reactions. The lights are brighter and something clicks off in their mind how much energy they're wasting when they don't use compact fluorescent lights.
Another main attraction was the Green Demonstration Home put on by Allen Associates.
We're a general contracting construction company. We've been here in Santa Barbara, based in Santa Barbara for over 30 years, and our passion for more than 30 years has been trying to build in a way that's friendly to the environment.
Allen Associates built the house in the most vibrant shade of green, with energy efficiency and sustainability in mind.
There's going to be a solar system on there that's going to produce 90 to 95% of their power. They have very efficient insulation, very efficient lighting, all new LED lightings and compact fluorescents, very high efficiency on-demand hot water heater, which also doubles as the hydronic heating system for the house to provide hot air for heating in the winter, which they'll barely need any with the insulation. Dual pane windows. It meets and exceeds California Title 24 by somewhere around 70%.
The house was then given over to a family whose home was destroyed in the Tea Fire.
They kind of chose us because of our location, and everything seemed to work out perfectly from there. The green is a very great component of the house, but I think the most important thing is it's fire resistant. And the metal seam roofs and the cement sidings, that's really the key for our area.
Festival goers were allowed to walk through the home and take in the various green components.
To be honest, it's a really nice quality house, and I've seen a lot of green stuff be built. I'm from Northern California, where a lot of this kind of grassroots stuff took place, and I've never seen anything this high quality, especially the furniture. I'm very impressed.
A variety of city businesses were also there declaring their passion for sustainability and efforts toward going green.
My friend Beth Caney, Castleman, and I have a small business, Monkey Flora Play Clothes, and we produce T-shirts for children with messages that we would like to get out. We only use water-based inks, and our shirts are by and large organic, and we also support a business that only does sweatshop-free production in the making of their blanks.
I've noticed a lot of businesses are going in a different direction, a little more green and just kind of earth conscious as far as how things are run and how things are manufactured. I'm glad to see things changing. I'm glad to see things going green.
As we wrap up today's Earth Day Festival 2009, people are leaving with a broader sense of community, how to live more sustainably, and are more energized to conserve than ever before.
If you want to learn ways to be green, go to the city's website, santabarbaraca.gov, and click on the quick link called Sustainable Santa Barbara. Well, that does it for this month's episode of Inside Santa Barbara. If you have any questions or comments about our show, give us a call at City TV at 564-5311. You can also watch the show online at citytv18.com. I'm your host, Rachel Senes, and remember to get involved inside Santa Barbara.
Tell me snakes and spiders and worms are interesting. Tell me getting your hands dirty is fun. Tell me I will be the one to help you change the oil in the car one day. Tell me there's nothing I can't do.
Did you know that when it rains or when you hose down the sidewalk, your pet's waste gets carried straight to the storm drains, which lead to the creeks and ocean? It can contain harmful bacteria and it's not treated before it reaches the beach. Pick up after your pet every time. Carry a bag with you and throw it in the trash. Remember, when your dog goes on the sidewalk, he's not just going on the sidewalk.
What does hope look like? Sometimes it's a hug or a laugh, and sometimes it's a future without worry. But most of all, hope looks like these children and me, who live with type 1 diabetes. The Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation continues to accelerate the crucial research that represents the real hope for a cure for millions of children and adults. Their hope is boundless, and with your help, we'll find a cure.
Wind, weather, and topography, 3 key factors that will determine the fate of the Jesucita fire, the 3rd major wildfire in Santa Barbara in 9 months. Residents on San Roque Road were among the first to leave.
I was up at the barn feeding my horse lunch, probably around 1 or 1:30 when I heard the sirens. And I can't see anything from where we live, so I got in the car and drove up here to the top of the hill so I could see what was going on. And I saw the fire, then I went back and called my husband and loaded up the animals, and we've been parked here on the hill ever since.
Come day 2 of the fire, active flames in the hills above the San Roque and Mission Canyon neighborhoods. Fire crews from outside the city descended onto Santa Barbara to help fight this wind-driven, fast-moving fire. Helicopters used night vision technology to continue to fight the fire even after the sun sets.
Right now we are on Mission Canyon Terrace near the Botanical Gardens, and from this vantage point you can see active flames in the hills above Mission Canyon Terrace. You can also see the helicopters just hovering above the area. On the ground here, firefighters stationed ready for if this fire reaches these homes.
Meanwhile, evacuees flocked to the American Red Cross shelter at Dos Pueblos High School in Goleta, seeking haven from the smoke and ash-filled sky. One evacuee fled her home on Alomar Road.
And then we had a warning because the city called us. We had 2 phone calls in the evening as a warning evacuation. And then today, when I came back from Trader Joe, it was just amazing to see how controlled it was. It was clear, you know. And also the helicopters were dropping the waters, and the fixed wings were still spreading the fire retardant. It was just amazing. I mean, those people have so much admiration for the firemen and all the people involved just to keep us safe.
We were just at the top of San Roque Road watching some of the flames close up, and now we've actually moved down to Calle Lorales. We're just outside Peabody Charter School, one of the schools affected by this fire. And as you can see, the wind is kicking up, helicopters hovering overhead, curious onlookers watching the fire closely to see where the fire heads.
And the fire did head towards homes. By day 3, homes were reduced to ashes, although some untouched, like that of San Roque Road resident Glenn Miller.
Daytime, it's dramatic, and that firestorm will never be forgotten. But at night, it's a whole different beast.
But the Culver City and Santa Monica mixed strike team were more than prepared to save Glenn's home, keeping their eyes on 3 things.
Fires are all driven and have a mind of their own, are based on weather, wind, and topography. So when all 3 of those moons align in the most probable direction for a great fire, that's what you're going to have. And yesterday afternoon was a perfect example.
An aggressive attack by sky cranes and firehawks, one after another dipping into the Laurel Reservoir and then dousing the flames. Firefighters on the ground concerned about hot spots, focused on mop-up efforts in devastated neighborhoods. Meanwhile, at Earl Warren Showgrounds, Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger declared a state of emergency.
I want to say right off the top, thank you very much to the unbelievable firefighters that we have here in California and in this area. They are the bravest, they're the toughest firefighters, they're the best equipped firefighters, they're the most selfless firefighters. It's really extraordinary. They move in there, risking their lives, working 24 hours a day. So firefighters, thank you from the bottom of our hearts for the great work that you're doing. Now, the Hesesita fire has been a great challenge. There's no two ways about it. And I just heard this again from the briefing just now, that because of the winds, 50-mile-an-hour winds, the lack of access to the mountainous terrain and the dense brush and all of this creates great challenges. But this is why I wanted to come up here to show my support. That's why yesterday I declared a state of emergency for Santa Barbara area, which means that through the Fire Management Assistance Grant, we can draw down 75% of the response costs from the federal government. So this is very, very helpful for us. And because, as you know, we have a financial crisis in California, but I wanted to make sure that you all know that even though we have this crisis, we will not be short of money when it comes to fighting those fires. We will be there for you 100%. We feel sorry and bad for the people of Santa Barbara that year after year you get hit by these fires, but it's very important to us that we show our support, and I want to compliment you here in Santa Barbara, law enforcement and the fire officials and everyone, because there's no place in a state where people come together faster and jump into action faster than right here in this area.
In the Emergency Operations Center, city staff work 24/7. It is the nerve center for information from evacuations to road and school closures, updating information minute by minute for the public and the media. Meanwhile, residents wait for news. Are their homes gone or still standing? We toured homes lost in San Roque and Mission Canyon neighborhoods. It is day 3 of the Hesesita fire, and just to give you a good idea of the destruction and devastation that happened here overnight, we're just off of Tunnel Road, and take a look at this huge tree right here, totally burned down, and it was actually uprooted from the hillside here. Definitely one of the hotter days of the fire. Actually, one of the firefighters just came by and told us to get out of here very soon because they're concerned that the winds will kick up again. That night, strong winds did kick up, extending the fire to the east towards Gibraltar Road and Montecito, and to the west, jumping Highway 154. Evidence is leading fire investigators to believe that sparks from power tools used to clear brush caused this fire. As of May 11th, the fire burned 8,733 acres, destroyed 77 homes and 60 outbuildings, and damaged 22 homes and 69 outbuildings.
The city's environmental services gurus are ready to assist your business with recycling. If your trash and recycling are out of balance, then exchange your trash bins for recycling bins. Educate your staff and learn how to better manage your recycling. Find your center. Santa Barbara Recycles. Brilliant.
Exercise, energize, socialize. From tots to seniors, from archery to yoga, City Parks and Recreation has a wide selection of programs to enjoy. So come out and play. We'll get you moving, keep you healthy, and connect you to the community. Discover great recreation opportunities with City Parks and Recreation. To register for classes, visit our website or call 805-564-5418.
Her bicycle was struck by an opening car door. She toppled into the street and under the wheels of a passing van.
He was knocked off balance and fell and was hit by a passing car.
Her bicycle hit an open SUV door. Her skull was crushed when she fell to the pavement.
He was hit by an open van door. He was knocked off the bicycle and into a speeding Chevy Camaro.
He said he had no idea a cyclist was approaching when he swung open his car door.
Knocked into the path of a moving vehicle when the door of a parked car swung open.
A car door can be a dangerous weapon. Take a careful look before opening your car door.
Share the road.
Keep it safe.
Shouldn't that go into recycling?
Recycling. Recycling. Everybody knows the trash gets sorted. We don't need no stinking recycling.
Fact is, no trash gets sorted, friend. So if it goes in there, it just ends up at a landfill.
There's only one way to settle this. Draw. Santa Barbara Recycling. Yeah!